Welcome back to my channel, I guess. Today we're going to talk about Jojo Siwa and the Chris Hughes situation. I'm not usually a drama channel, and this isn't drama. I'm trying to think about what we can learn from this situation, from what we know so far. And please excuse my washing thing behind me. I live in London. Everything's put in a room, a singular room. All my whole life is in a room, so bear with. For those of you who aren't as online as I am, what is the Chris Hughes or the Jojo Siwa and the Chris Hughes situation? I mean, I'll explain Jojo Siwa. I assume you know who Jojo Siwa is, clicking on this video, but Jojo Siwa was like a child star. Is still a child star? I don't know, she's not a child anymore, but was on Dance Moms and then had a whole career as a singer, presenter, actress thing, I don't know, but made music as this sort of hyper colourful, youthful energy for kids. In recent years, she's trying to sort of break that sort of childish presentation, releasing hits like Karma. And as of recently, like a month ago or so, she went on a TV show called Celebrity Big Brother, the UK edition, and it was something. I'd say that Celebrity Big Brother is usually for sort of D-list celebrities, maybe? I don't know, sorry if anyone who was on Celebrity Big Brother is watching this. But Jojo Siwa actually seems to be, like, quite a big thing. She's big in America. So to bring her here is like a major presence. And here on Big Brother, she meets Chris Hughes, former Love Island contestant. But for context, Jojo was dating, their partner was called Kath and they were 27, Australian. I think musician in their own right, or I need to check. Okay, Kath Ebbs is like a presenter, DJ, actor. I feel like I've seen their TikToks before, so internet personality as well. Not to diminish anything they have done. And there was a major sort of scandal at the start of Celebrity Big Brother when a contestant, what was his name? I don't even want to give his name. It's just like a disgusting old man celebrity. You could look it up. But he was like basically saying he could corrective Jojo Siwa. And now I don't want people using that and then going, oh, it's true now. You can kind of change a person. You can't. That corrective was out of pocket. And, well, not out of pocket, just disgusting and shouldn't be said to anyone, point blank. So I just wanted to address that first. So in Celebrity Big Brother, Jojo starts snuggling, getting cozy to Chris Hughes. And Chris Hughes is 32, so he's a good decade older than Jojo. And it is perceived as a friendship at first. Some people are like, this is getting a bit romantic. But a lot of us innocently were like, no, she's a lesbian. She's allowed to have like sort of close relationships with men. I mean, in the first place, a universe where Jojo Siwa and Chris Hughes are in, it feels freakish beyond my even like contemplation. Or I can't even. I wouldn't have thought these two circles would have crossed and made a Venn diagram. Anyway, they start getting close. People are like, no, it's just a friendship. Other people's like, oh, it's getting romantic here. And then Jojo later discusses with another cast member that they're starting to think maybe they're not a lesbian and they might just be more queer, and queer might be the sort of appropriate word. And you can see further and further into the show, Chris is getting closer to closer to Jojo, and it's causes upsetting like Kath and sort of the outside world. And in the end, Kath and Jojo break up. But once I think was it Jojo's birthday? There was a few posts that sort of hinted at, once they were out of Big Brother, that they were sort of together. And then they hard launched each other quite soon. And it became official that they were dating. I think Chris posted pictures for Jojo's birthday. Yeah, and then Chris was in LA and he visited her family and Abby Lee Miller. You know it's serious. And now Jojo is flying. Well, she's currently in London now. As I speak, she is probably like a few miles away from me, which is kind of weird. Living her British life, you know? So, what are the key issues around this? What is the controversy? The sort of first part is the element of cheating. Was Jojo actively cheating on Kath whilst she was on the show? B is the sort of power dynamic between Chris and Jojo and the age difference, and how maybe Chris is taking advantage of that age difference and almost vulnerability. C is the clout element of it all. Is Chris doing this to gain clout from Jojo? Because Jojo Siwa is massively more famous than Chris. Sorry, Chris. And D, there was a part where Jojo was like, fuck the L, fuck the, I guess the lesbian statement. I'm not entirely sure if she said this or not, or it was just like she was mouthing it, I can't remember. But the sort of as anti-lesbian sentiment and what's going on there. And I'll give my also personal opinions on actually what might actually be happening. So I'll go back to the cheating thing. Obviously a lot of, in hindsight, it's a beautiful thing, but a lot of boundaries were crossed. Things were done in an intimate way. Maybe the relationship was falling through on the outside already. But that doesn't justify cheating, of course. That justifies it as well. But Jojo was also younger than Kath. And Jojo is a lot younger than Chris. But there's a level of immaturity there. So there probably was cheating going on, but it's not been denied. But also, again, it's kind of what's the line between friendship, friendliness, and flirting. And sometimes it's really hard to define that. B is a power dynamic. Even though Jojo has more power in a sort of social media lens than Chris. Chris is older. He's had more life experience. He's a man. Jojo hasn't been an adult for that long. I know people are like, why does the age difference matter? Well, it does matter because you go through so many changes from the ages of like 18 to 25. Never mind beyond that. Also, Chris could have not taken advantage, but maybe Jojo was in a space where she was questioning her sexuality, and maybe Chris kind of leached onto that, or I don't know. But it sort of begs the question what a 32-year-old man is doing with a 21-year-old, now 22-year-old. Like, legally, there isn't anything wrong with it, but what do you have in common? And some people say people kind of get stuck at a time when you sort of become famous. And so obviously some age gaps work out. I think like I'm more of the opinion that age gap relationships kind of become more suitable as you're older. Not so much when you're in such fundamental changing and fundamental years of your life when your brain is forming. See, there's a sort of idea going around that Chris could be using Jojo for clout and it's not genuine love. Like I said before, no offense, Chris, but Jojo is much, much more famous than Chris is. In the UK, we know of Jojo Siwa, but in America, they probably don't know who Chris Hughes is. And I want to be optimistic and believe the love is real. And they probably have some genuine connection there. But there's also theories that this is like a PR stunt. And the fact that I'm talking about it could be enabling it. But I think it's something interesting to talk about, even if it is a PR stunt. Like, why are we pairing these two together? And is it, even if it's not genuine and it is a PR stunt, why are we allowing this to happen to Jojo Siwa? Even if it is Jojo Siwa's idea or something, you know? Or that she consents to it. Why are we doing this in the media? What is the purpose of this? And I don't want to dismiss if they actually have genuine feelings for each other, that this is fake, but I think even if you have feelings for each other, I don't know, my feelings would stop knowing that they were so many years younger than me. My other reasoning was the Jojo Siwa fuck the L sentiment, meaning fuck the lesbian label. But to quote, she says, "Fuck the L, I'm going to the Q." And she might have not meant this in like a negative way, but I think a lot of people have interpreted as maybe lesbian, or maybe this as lesbian hate. I don't know. I feel like she shouldn't be online. She shouldn't be online. This is leaning into my sort of personal opinion, saying I think so much of Jojo's identity and her processing of her identity is online, whether it be gender, sexuality. it's online or it's on TV, and she hasn't had that space to process it by herself. I mean, obviously she can, but she looks like a busy person, and so much of her life is broadcasted on TikTok, on TV. Is there any actually time to sit down with her thoughts and her identity and just kind of let herself be? You don't have to label yourself, and you don't have to know everything. But I think it's important to have a space where you can go through the motions by yourself and think about it and reflect on things and be in more of a calm state. Because Jojo is actively sort of processing things as live as we see it. And I'm not entirely sure if that's healthy. And I know even like doing this video, it's kind of engaging in this sort of obsession with the celebrity. But I honestly think Jojo just needs to get offline for a bit and have a break. And be a normal 20-something. Like, I really want to reiterate that it's okay to question your labels and to maybe think you're a different label. But I would like to say that sexuality isn't fluid. Might be fluid for some people. It ain't for me. But I sometimes think, could she possibly be a lesbian? I don't want to speculate on people's sexuality. But whether she could be a lesbian or not, I think for the first time in her life, she has received sort of male attention and the sort of positivity around gaining being attracted to you, or the male perceiving you. I sound like an incel when I say that. But I think a lot of this fast movingness and this full speed into this relationship is based off the sort of high she has got for the first time in her life, maybe, where a man has actually paid attention to her and has found her attractive. And that, to a lot of people, that feels good, even lesbians, because we are socialised to sort of appreciate and value men's attraction and the power a lot more than women's, and a lot more than anyone else. So I definitely think that is a major aspect in it all. And I think maybe Chris kind of knows this, or Chris is sensing this sort of youthfulness, this sort of first-timery that is happening with Jojo. I'm not saying Jojo hasn't been with any other gender before. I think she had a boyfriend before, but she was young. But this is my theory, that she's experiencing sort of heteronormative power for once, and it's kind of addictive, and it kind of affirms your gender as a woman, maybe, if that's her gender. I don't know. That's a whole other thing. It just seems all wild. Like, every TikTok I get, it's something to do with Jojo Siwa and Chris Hughes, and it is so intense, and it does feel fake because it is so intense. I'm not here to whether to evaluate if it's real or not. I'm here to sort of think, what can we learn from this, and how can we take pop culture and news like this and actually sort it out and like apply it to real life things. Jojo is not the first to be groomed. I'm not saying she is being groomed, but there are a lot of men in the world that are a bit like Chris, who like to date younger girls because often they don't know. They don't know enough about the world. It's not their fault for not knowing, because they've not lived long enough to know. And these men know this, and they can sort of smell vulnerability. We'll see if time will tell if it is a genuine relationship. And I really don't want to dismiss if it is genuine. And they did have a friendship. But what else can we learn is that I really think we need to stop putting young people online on kind of selling them as an idea, as almost an icon. Jojo has not figured herself out yet, and she's doing this all online, possibly for clout. She's probably gaining money from it, but at what cost, you know? And it comes back to child stars being exploited as well, which is something I'm like, maybe children shouldn't be in the industry. Maybe we shouldn't see them like that. They shouldn't be doing all these ungodly hours, you know? And what else we can learn is that sexuality might be fluid for some people, but it's not fluid for everyone, and you still can't change a person. and I might just end the video on that. People can change labels, the labels that are more appropriate to them, but their sexuality can't change. If you like that, I could maybe do more pop culture analysis kind of videos on my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get back into videos again. It's not just hard to kind of find your niche, but I am really interested in like pop culture and how a lot of pop culture replicates what's going on in sort of the domestic sphere. So yeah, keep it tuned, I guess. Like, subscribe. I think you need to see if this is worth it.